here we fucking go. So this is something that I really want to talk about. This is something that's important to me because I really care deeply about VR. I think VR is going to be huge, and while you might not care about it right now, I think within 5 or 10 years you will. Oculus recently patched this thing called a Revive injector, and what this injector did is it allowed the use of Oculus Home games to be played on the Vive. Now Oculus Home is Oculus's storefront, similar to Steam, but I'm going to get more into that later. And what I mean when I say that they patched out the Revive, I just mean that they killed it. It's not functioning anymore. It's dead. The developer responsible for creating this hack, I hate calling it a hack, I'm just going to call it a workaround from here on out because that's what it really is here. The developer for Revive states that he was able to test the new update. He's referring to 1.4 for Oculus, and he says that he can indeed confirm that it breaks Revive support. He says from his preliminary research, it seems that Oculus has also added a check whether the Oculus Rift headset is connected to their Oculus platform DRM. And while Revive fools the application in thinking the Rift is connected, it does nothing to make the actual Oculus platform think the headset is connected. He goes on to say, because only the Oculus platform DRM has been changed, this means that none of the Steam or standalone games were affected. Only games published on the Oculus Store that use the Oculus platform SDK are affected. So everyone that has bought a game on Oculus Home that's using a Vive can no longer play those games if they update to 1.4. So previously, Oculus has stated that they view the Revive as a hack and that they don't condone it. So when most of us heard what Oculus had to say about Revive, we knew that at one point the Revive was going to be broken. We just didn't know if it was going to be intentional or if it would be accidental, something due to a driver mismatch or something like that. So obviously this is very early. I just found out about this news a couple hours ago, and while it's still unclear what Oculus's true intentions are, and it's not very likely that we'll hear a comment from Oculus on this issue anytime soon, here's my takeaway on why this happened. So for the first generation of VR, and the $599 meme aside, all of the major headset manufacturers, Sony, Oculus, and HTC, they have to price their headsets as low as they can. The way Oculus chose to do that is they were to sell the Rift at cost. So it costs them $600 to manufacture the Rift and get it out to your door. So that's what they're selling it for, $600. The way they're actually generating revenue has nothing to do with hardware sales. Eventually it will, but again, I'll get to that in a second. For now, they're just trying to gain revenue with their storefront, Oculus Home. And because they're bringing in revenue with their storefront and not with hardware sales, thanks to the Revive injector, it really didn't matter which headset the user had when they were buying from their store. A sale was a sale. I mean, I bought Chronos knowing full well that at one point that was going to be $50 blown. But to Oculus, it doesn't matter if I was using the Vive or the Rift. They got their $50. So why would they change that? Why would they hurt sales on their storefront by fragmenting a user base even more? Well, to put it bluntly, Oculus really wants to be Apple. This is a dirty tactic to trap people in the Oculus ecosystem. This is what Apple did with iTunes. Look at how much the average user spent on iTunes and how reluctant they were to transfer over to another service. Even with my small $50 purchase of Chronos, I'm now somewhat invested in the Oculus ecosystem. This is what they want. Everyone's looking at this in the short term, but Oculus is really in this for the long haul. They want people so invested in this ecosystem that they come back and they buy a Generation 2 HMD or Generation 3 VR headset just because they made that first purchase on Oculus Home. This creates a loop where the hardware sells the software and the software ends up selling the hardware. Once you start buying a game here or there, you feel like you have to keep spending money and keep buying into their ecosystem. Oculus is going to try to put a spin on this and really try to convey that this is for the user, that it benefits everyone. I get why console exclusives are a thing. That doesn't bother me. But when exclusives exist for a peripheral, you have a problem. Oculus doesn't officially support the DK2, even though there's minimal differences on the hardware side between the DK2 and the consumer version 1. What happens when that DK2 support goes away? All those games that were bought on Oculus Home, they're gone. Forget them. Unless that user buys CV1. And then what happens when CV2 comes out and they drop support for CV1? It's a cycle. It's not consumer friendly. It's been said multiple times that choice benefits the consumer, but it's really starting to look like that choice is being taken away from us.